Welcome to the Jeff and Sean Show. My name's Jeff.
This is Sean. Let's go to the Jeff and Sean Show. Yay!
Hi, our first news is about Cathay Pacific bans two couples on the flight for reclining seats. Sean, have you ever reclined your seat on the plane?
Yes, but I always have to be very careful because I would imagine the people behind me would be annoyed, because I personally would get annoyed if the people in front of me recline their seats. My space will be significantly limited. It's the economy seat is already limited, and then if they recline it, I have even fewer space. It's super annoying.
So how long into the flight would you recline your seat, or you won't, or is it for longer flights or shorter flights?
You know, if you're gonna recline your seat, you better do it early on. So maybe like at the first 10 minutes of the flight, or even as soon as you sit down, and even better if the person behind you haven't arrived yet, so it's empty behind you, and then you recline the seats before they feel it. You know, it's always better for them to say, oh, they see that it's already reclined, and then they seat in, instead of during the flight and they see you reclining the seat in front of them. They will definitely get more annoyed. I would say do it as ASAP. As soon as you get in the seat.
Before takeoff, the flight attendant will ask you to straighten your seat. So if you do ASAP, you gotta lift it up, and then, you know, during in flight, then you put it back down again.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. So that's why I wasn't able to do that ever. I guess you will have to wait till the flight took off, so everybody's chance is fair. Everybody has a chance to recline once the flight take off, and everyone will notice you recline the seat.
And on the news also said Cathay is launching one of their longest flights from Hong Kong to Dallas starting April next year. Also, I used to live in Dallas, and I remember our friend, you know who I'm talking about, my Dallas friends, hi. They're hoping that Starlux will have a flight to Dallas, but it never took place, not even now. Starlux having direct flights to San Francisco. So Dallas, come on.
Is Dallas City that bad to live in?
No, it's a great city. You know, big airport. Airport's very big. It's just there's not a lot of direct flights to Taiwan.
Oh, well, it definitely annoyed Mrs. J, so much so that she had to move back to Taiwan because of this.
Yeah, I think she moved back for more other reasons, but that's another story.
But wait, Jeff, can you tell us more about what happened on the Cathay airline flights? Like, why did the two couples got banned?
So apparently, there's videos about this online. You can YouTube it. It's just the two couples. They recline the seats, and then they got fight into it with the person in front. So now the couples are not allowed to fly on Cathay flights anymore because they're banned, because they're having a big fight on the plane.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's the people in front of this couple recline the seat. So the couple themselves did not recline the seat. It's the people in front of them, and they get annoyed by that. And according to the news, they keep kicking the person's seat in front of them because that person reclined their seats. And I think they also said something like constantly harassing the passengers in front of them. And eventually the flight attendant have to weigh in, intervene, and they got banned. But at some extent, I can understand their annoyance, right? always will feel not happy about people in front of me. You recline their seats. I feel like we are already in the economy section. Like people should help each other, right? So we shouldn't make each other's life worse. And you recline your seat because you want more space, but that means people behind you will have less space. But at the end of the day, you do whatever you want to do. So you can just recline seat, but just don't expect friendly gesture from people behind you. They might not kick your seat as this two couple do, but they might not give you a good face during your flights, especially if it's a long haul flight. You have a bad time.
Yeah, I think kicking seats and acting, uncivilized, definitely not the way to go, because the seats are designed to be reclined. So you have the right to recline. If you think your space is small, you should recline, and the person behind you will all recline. So it's like a melody. Everybody recline together. So I think it's okay to recline because they designed to recline. Otherwise, take off the recline. Nobody reclines then.
You mean like a domino effect? Like if everyone reclines, then the world is peace.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that is probably it for this news. Anything you want to add, Jeff?
That's it. Let's move on to the second news. Hi, our second news is about National Teachers' Day. So September 28th was Taiwan's Teachers' Day. And I just found out that China has a different Teachers' Day. I was surprised because there is September 10th. But the Taiwan one celebrates Confucius, so I assume China will have the same day. But apparently they have a different day. The reason, and I used Baidu, the Chinese Google website, to find out about why there is this September 10th. The result I got is because September 10th, the new semester just started, and all the teachers and students are back. So it's very good to celebrate together when the semester just started. But the Taiwan one is just a few weeks after, so it should be all fine. And plus, Taiwan one is Confucius' birthday. What do you think about the different Teachers' Day, Sean?
Well, according to what you research, China choose September 10th. Is it exactly because of convenience? Just because it's convenient that teacher and students are all back to the school?
I think so, yes. That's from my research.
Well, you know what? It doesn't differ much because Taiwan is September 28th.
Yeah.
And I feel it's all in September, right? Shouldn't differ much. So, but I would say Confucius' birthday, that feels more meaningful. So like a cause.
It's more traditional.
Yeah. Aren't Taiwan much more traditional, preserve much more Chinese heritage than China?
I think so.
Both in characters and also like the temples, right? Like the temples, Taiwan has a lot of temples, and people will go like New Year or before an exam, a big exam. They will go to these temples in Taiwan, and they like pray for good luck, all that, and they like do like scents, and they like bow their knees just to beg for God that to give them good luck.
Yes, I've heard that before. Also about getting boyfriend, girlfriend, they will go to temples.
In contrast, in China, I think a lot of temples were destroyed during the Cultural Revolution, right?
I've seen some temples in China too, even though they're destroyed but rebuilt.
Oh, well, that's better. It's
Yeah,
like cultural
so they look very new.
Preservation. But as far as I know, they're like people, like some of my Chinese friends, they don't go into temple and pray for good luck. They don't do that. Yeah.
I see. But probably not as religious.
Not as religious, yeah.
Yeah.
But anything you want to add, Jeff?
Sean, did you pray for good luck in exams before or finding girlfriend?
Pray for good luck. I don't need to because the school bring us all the cohorts to a temple. Actually, that's what happens in my high school. Actually the school just spend one day, I think one afternoon, and they say, okay, stop all the classes. You don't need to take the lectures anymore. Everybody prepare to get out, and we like walk in line and walk to the nearest temple. I think that was in Zhinangong because our high school is near that area. I think it's
Where's Zhinangong? Do you explain?
It's in Taipei City. It's the southern east part of Taiwan.
Which MRT stop?
Well, it's
Or which line?
It's the zoo, Muzha Xian.
Okay,
or
Taipei
around.
Zoo.
Yeah, Taipei Zoo. It's an area of like very educational people because there's like famous university there, 政治大学 there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
It's there, and our high school is around that area. The school they basically make us everyone go into the temple and like pray for good luck for the upcoming exam that happens, I think, around February. So yeah, when I think back, I feel, wow, that's actually a bit ridiculous because the school is like doing this religious activity, but at the end of the day, the school want students to perform well in the exam. And yeah, I think that's part of the Taiwan tradition anyway. And as far as the did I pray for good luck for like romantic relationship? Did I think I rarely do. Even when at the time when I was in Japan. Yeah, I rarely do that. So that's maybe explain why I have like very few pinky luck.
I see. Yeah, I know Japan. There's a lot of romance temple. People pray for that. It's a romance stuff in the temples. You pray for good romantic relationship.
Yeah, to
in
be honest,
Kyoto.
I'm a person of more practice, and so these kind of things. I don't personally do it. If I want a relationship, I'll probably reach out more to take action instead of like pray for God. Well, sometimes maybe pray for God help you find like a peaceful in your mind, a peace of mind. But I personally don't do that much. Jeff, have you been in the temple and just to pray for a good romantic relationship?
No, I haven't. But I mean, I've went to temple but not pray for romance. I pray for. When we were young, we would go to temple every time when we fly back to Australia. So before, let's say this weekend we're flying back, we will go to temple this week, pray for safety.
Oh, for the travel, the flight
Yes.
safety, and then everything goes well in Australia.
Yes, that's
When
right.
you're in Australia, okay. But probably your parents had you do that. Otherwise, you won't yourself. You won't
Yeah,
do
my
that
grandma
yourself.
would take us.
Grandma wants you to do that.
Yes.
And yeah, we did celebrate Teachers' Day right last weekend. We accompanied a friend to help him vent, but we also had a great Teachers' Day with him.
Yes, it was a great Teacher's Day.
It was so great. And anything you want to add, Jeff?
That's it. Let's go to our next news. This section is about national days for both Taiwan and China.
Oh, and we have different days for national holiday. National celebration holiday?
Yes.
Is that how it calls?
Can you tell our English audience what are the days?
So I know in Taiwan it's October 10th, right?
Yes.
But I don't know what day is in China.
China will be October 1st.
Oh, it's actually really close. And I believe they have a holiday of entire week.
That
Chan?
I don't know. I believe it's a longer holiday.
Mm. Okay, but it's really close to each other. It's one is October 1st and another is October
Yeah.
10th.
In Taiwan, just one day, but China maybe 1 week holiday.
Yeah, I
something
believe
like
so.
that.
Right, and they always I heard like the like scary traffic throughout China, and like
Yes.
blocking all the highways, and people wait for days on highway in China.
Oh no, that's more for Chinese New Year, not
Oh,
maybe a bit less so in for
like there's
National
some
Day, but
small vendors start selling like foods on the highway, like sausage, hot dog on highway because it like people waited in the traffic for almost like 6 hours or something like that. But maybe that's not national holiday. So they're different.
yes. And this year is Kuomintang, Taiwan's opposition party, first time organizing the event after 8 years. So this time is the legislative yuan head, which is Han Kuo-yu. He's going to be hosting the events. And a lot of people saying the design compared to 8 years, the previous 8 years, the design now got a funeral feel to it. What do you think, Sean? Do you think this year's got a funeral feel?
I feel like first I wonder who gets to decide like who holds the event. Why
So
is it
the
KMT?
event is hosted by the legislative yuan, 立法院.
Is it always like that?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. So every year is always the 立法院院长.
Oh, that's interesting.
They host.
So they host it and determine the design and the visual. And all that.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. I saw the logo. Right, every year they have a logo for the double cross, and I think this year is still pretty modern. I'd say, like comparing to 10 years ago, like very old styled and like shiny and bad. For the past 8 years, like I think like the design sense, a lot of people can feel things are improving, and it's like aesthetic. I think this year is also, I would say, it's aesthetic as well, but maybe it's like a big red and a big blue, right? So I did feel it's more like a little bit traditional in that way, but the entire design I think is much better than 10 years ago.
Do you think this year Japanese band will come and perform like the previous 2 years?
I'm not sure, but I feel they might because we still have a very close relationship with them.
Yes. I really enjoy the Japanese band performance.
The high school
Yes.
girls.
The Orange Devil or something.
Yeah, you like to watch them?
I like to watch them, the performance, because they're very neat and tidy. I like their song choice.
Tiny.
Very, very young and vibrant feel.
You have a favorite member?
I don't know their names.
Okay, just kidding. Okay, keep going on, Jeff. So, the two countries, China and Taiwan, they have different national holiday. Right, that's what we know. And it looks like funeral. Like some people would say that. Actually, when I first saw it, it's like the blue banner. I think that's fine. The font is modern. Yeah, I feel it's normal. At least it's not like some shiny gold and blue and red stuff mixing together. I think it's like aligns with the main logo, I'd say. The main theme.
So what were the previous national days? What do you usually do to celebrate in Taiwan?
When I was in Taiwan, well, it's a long time ago. It's like when I was in college, right? I came to US also for years. So when I was in US, October 10th is just a normal day. I just work as usual. Maybe watch the YouTube channel. There used to be a Taiwan YouTube channel called ITV, ICE TV, 眼球中央.
I remember that show. Yeah.
Yeah, they always have some special episode around this time of year. And they might interview people, and
they stopped the channel, right?
Yeah, for better or good, right? The host, 视网膜, I think he went to 公视 at the end. So 公视 is like a public television,
like Taiwan's PBS.
Yeah, that one's PBS, and I feel like it's a good stage for him. Yeah.
And also on the news, President Lai said he will never sign peace treaty with China. What do you think, Sean? Do you think signing peace treaty is good or bad?
I think it's an exact case like Ukraine and Russia, right? If you ask Zelensky, like, why not sign a peaceful deal with Putin? Well, he will deny. I think it's exactly the same reason Taiwan will not want to sign this peaceful treaty, because it's never fair. And yeah, so I'm not surprised neither. President Lai, he always have a strong stance on like independence, right? So it's not news to see him like express this. I think it's a strong statement to like.
Yeah, I personally support this decision, because if you sign peace treaty, that means will you stop buying U.S. weapons, or do you reduce military training? So the deal won't hold if you reduce, Taiwan reduces and China doesn't. It's hard to maintain the treaty. The treaty doesn't really have any effect except paper.
I mean, what is the content of this treaty, right? Because we always say a peaceful treaty, but what was actually in there?
That's true, yeah.
Do you know?
Nobody knows. But I believe peaceful treaty intent is one peace. That's a good thing. Everybody wants peace. But how do you keep the peace? That's the question. So even if you sign peaceful treaty, we cannot reduce military training. We cannot stop buying U.S. weapons. They'll still have to continue. So is it really peace? I believe peace through strength.
Well, but one thing I'm concerned here is nobody knows what's the content of peaceful treaty. But we are talking about it. It's definitely gets stigmatized, right? When it comes to peaceful treaty, people always equal that to like unification, right? But peaceful treaty could mean something else, right? If it's just peaceful, but if it's like mutual respect, both sides as equal entity, like China and Taiwan, if we can keep our military and we can keep our administration separate as two administration, and we keep everything like self-sovereignty, all that, just like the status quo. And then on top of that, we have a peaceful treaty saying like, okay, China, you're not gonna invade us, and some kind of guarantee. Then I think that might not be a bad thing to sign. But when it comes to sign, you really have to look at what you're signing, and without knowing that, it's really hard to say I support or I oppose it.
Because from my understanding of history, throughout history, there's always, let's say there's World War One, and then the Germany signed peaceful treaty to surrender. World War II, Germany signed peaceful treaty to surrender. Always sign when one side has lost. Let's say in North-South Korea, no peaceful treaty signed because it's a draw. It's just ceasefire treaty. In Vietnam, they signed peaceful treaty, and then South Vietnam collapsed. And you reunited with communist North Vietnam. In Afghanistan, they signed peace treaty, and then government collapsed. Taliban took over. So peaceful treaty is good intention only if one side won the war, then they will have to abide because they lost. If it's no war, just sign, there's no guarantee.
You're saying like peace treaty is like communism, like the ideal is great, the imagined ideal is great, but in reality it always fails. That's what you're saying.
Yes, unless one side has clearly won the war, like World War One, World War Two, then of course peace treaty makes sense. If nobody's clearly won, peace treaty is just a piece of paper and then won't hold for a couple years.
Yeah, well, thanks for the interesting history context. I think, yeah, like I said, country can change too, right? Even if they sign something, they can renege it afterwards. And also, one important factor is the power dynamic. If a country has much bigger power, of course, they can renege things easy without consequences. So as for Taiwan and China's case, this is a big thing to consider is China's power is way bigger than Taiwan. So when Taiwan is going to sign anything with China, we have to be extra careful about the consequences because we have less power. We are more vulnerable to manipulation and all that. So, but personally, like the peaceful treaty, I'm not against it without knowing what's inside it. Once we know like what the content is, we can discuss further. But without knowing it, I don't think there's reason to oppose to it. But when dealing with China, always exercise extra caution. That's what I think.
Yes.
And we can probably agree on that.
Yes. And next part is about the different days for the Taiwanese holiday, October 10th. It's actually Columbus Day in US or Native American Day. It's also celebrated in Spain, Latin America countries, and it's Canadian Thanksgiving Day. Also, October 3rd is Germany Unification Day. So, a lot of days in October. Why such a coincidence?
Well, you know what's coincidence too is recently a lot of my colleagues' friends have birthday party. So that means a lot of people born in September. So that means a lot of people get pregnant in January. So winter is a good season to family planning. Let's put it that way.
Yes. So lots of holidays here. So wish all the listeners around the world happy holidays for National Day, Columbus Day, Native American Day, Spain National Day, Latin American National Days, Canadian Thanksgiving, and Germany Reunification Day.
No, that's too long, the list. But I'm sure that we have a global audience around the globe, and so wish everybody have a great holiday. All right, so Jeff, I believe you came to US for a long time, right? But I think at the very beginning, you was initially in Taiwan, and then you moved to Australia. There must be a lot of time that you have your family separated with your family and just go study abroad on your own. And you always will have to say goodbye at the airports. Is that what your experience, Jeff?
Yes, that's correct. So I went to Australia to study with my aunts and uncle, with my sister. So I have a lot of experience in saying goodbye to my parents in the airport. And back in the day, in the early 2000s, so 24 years ago, the Taiwan airport, it's usually we fly out from Terminal 1. So if you guys remember all the Taiwanese people that fly from Terminal 1, the old Terminal 1 is when you go upstairs, it's a big glass window. Then in front is the immigration where your passport gets stamped. then you can turn around and you can wave through the glass window and see your parents waving at you through a glass window.
Oh,
So I remember that scene a lot when I was a kid. Every time I would just keep staring at my parents and keep waving goodbye and keep crying. And then they would wave to say, don't cry. It's your turn to get your passport stamp. Follow your aunt and uncle. And
Wow.
I remember my sister would always say, why are you crying? We're going to Australia to study. And
Fun.
and then I'm always crying because she was younger then, so she didn't understand. But I remember when I was getting married and she's flying back to Australia and she's crying. And then me and my family are all in LA at the time. And I would say to my sister, why did you cry? You chose to be in Australia. So that was a funny turnaround after 20 or so years.
Oh, your sister married and now live in Australia?
Oh no, she's just studying back then in Australia. She hasn't moved here yet.
Oh, so you have to say goodbye in LA with your
Yes.
parents. Oh, well, that means yeah, like you said, she chose to study in Australia. That's after she became adult, right?
Oh, she's just in Australia then, and then we're all in the US, so she hasn't moved here yet officially. And
Oh.
then I remember soon after she moved here because she doesn't want to be alone in Australia.
Oh, in Australia, she will be alone.
Yes.
Oh, that's a strong thing, right? That like all your family is in LA, and now all of a sudden she has to separate from family. She'll get emotional, but
Yeah.
I'm sure she has a dream to chase in Australia, something that she want to pursue.
I believe
So,
so.
Yeah.
What's your experience about saying goodbye at airports, Sean? You've been to US for some time.
So there was twice in my life. Actually, U.S. is not my first time. My first abroad experience, long stay, is in Japan. So that time I was an exchange student. I got a scholarship to Osaka University, and we will. My dad will actually come together with me to Osaka for a tourist, right? Because Japan is
Your
like-
dad fly with you to Osaka?
also with my brother, like because Japan is a place Taiwanese go really often, right? Like just to have fun, see all the attractions. So they find, oh, my son is going to study in Japan. Why not we have a trip along the way and then just have fun for a week, and at the end of that trip, leave our son there
So
to study.
So at Osaka airport, did you wave goodbye to your dad and brother? Did you cry?
Oh, actually, that was the worst. Yeah, it's a bad experience for me. It's a sad day, but I remember that's the time I first arrived in Japan at the KIX airport in Osaka. We have to take a train across the bridge because the airport is on the sea. Actually, they put the land on the sea to build that airport. So to get into the downtown, you have to take the railway and all the way north. And three of us, my brother, my dad, and me, we trying to figure out all the signs without Japanese characters on the street and have a hard time navigating. But eventually we approach, we got where the university is, we find a hotel. And yeah, at that time I was like college student, but I was a very shy person. So all the time we stayed together. And when the time came that my dad and my brother had to leave, actually they helped me check in the dorm with me. So they follow all the way to my dorm, and they have the opportunity to check out my dorm to see what kind of environment I'm living in. And they figured out, well, they have a great shower room. You know, the shower room in Japan, they can adjust temperature. It's like a digital control. Like Japan is very modernized.
Wow.
And that dorm is very interesting. It has both the traditional Japanese public bath. Like everybody has to be naked and you can see each other naked. And also they have like a westernized shower room specifically for international student. That dorm is renovated to mix foreign student and local student together to learn from each other. I guess I feel like that was the vision that a university wants. But yeah, my dad helped me settle down, and then they have to leave, and but yeah, it was always sad.
Did you have to buy your own furniture, or the dorm has all the desk and bed?
It's furnished.
Okay.
It's pre-furnished. And then the second time is when I come to US. And I would say I am more grown up at that time. So I don't feel too much. I actually feel very anticipated at the time because that's also at the end of my service, my alternative service. Every day when I was at alternative service, even if it was...
You mean military service?
Yeah, military service, but it's alternative service. I work under the Department of Social Welfare. It's actually in the Taipei City Hall. So it's like an office job. Yeah, it's very comfortable, office life. But it's very tedious and boring, like the public servant in Taiwan. Repetitive work, a lot of that. And during that time, when I'm in the office, that's also the time I prepare for the master program. I try to apply for a master program and studying like GRE and all that. And at the end of my service term, I was every day imagining the flight, embark like to Michigan or Detroit. My first flight to US, like every night I'm imagining that. So I'm very anticipated and feel like a future. So
what do you feel when you first land in US?
It's very green, like a lot of green field. I think like very big and very wide. That wasn't Michigan, Detroit's airport. Yeah, that was in Detroit. So it's very different landscape from Bay Area. And initially, the church people helped us. They pick us up at the airport and send us to the campus. And I feel less homesick at that time because I was already very into like the new life. I guess the service term makes this stronger. The time at service is so boring.
I see. Yeah, when I first landed in US, I was quite surprised on the amount of American flags everywhere. There's like lots of flags here compared with Australia.
Which state what were you landing in?
I landed in Boston. And I feel you walk everywhere, you take the subway, you walk up, there's flags. You land in the airport, there's flags. There's picture of President Obama. It's not so much in Australia, not so many flags or portraits of Prime Minister.
By the way, what's U.S. national holiday?
No, it's not holiday then.
Do you know what day it is for U.S.?
It's almost Thanksgiving.
Is it Washington's, right? Oh, Independence Day is U.S. version of national holiday.
Yeah.
That was in July.
I didn't land in July. I landed in almost Thanksgiving, which is November.
Why there's so much national flag?
Well, even today you walk around, there's lots of flags compared to other countries. I feel
like usually you will see a lot of American flags only on like Veterans Day or Independence Day, like those kind of like military or like national holiday. You see more flags.
But even when it's not military or national holiday, there's more flags than usual. It's an American thing to have lots of flags. Even when you drive around the suburb, people hang flags outside their garage.
I can see that from time to time.
Yeah, it's you never see that in Australia.
What's that called?
More patriotic, love their flag. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is all about how we experience our separation at airports. All right, so that wraps up of what are those topics that today we want to discuss. So at the end, we want to close our episode by talking about conflicts during between husband and wives. So according to PTT, which is a Taiwanese version of Reddit, there was a post like a year ago. It's about Arizona TSMC. TSMC, the Taiwan semiconductor manufacturer, very famous. They have a new factory open in Arizona. So because of that, a lot of engineers, oftentimes they are husband and from Taiwan, they moved to Arizona and their wife came along. And according to the PDT, there was a very popular post about a wife posted, I think, the 10 worst things to live to like the life in US. A lot of them is about like Taiwan. US is not as convenient as Taiwan, but also Arizona, Phoenix is a special case. Don't you think so? It's like over the desert, but there's definitely a metropolitan area. There's still like big city in America, right? That kind of it's like more similar to Taipei city life, maybe like in San Francisco, New York, or Seattle. But what do you think about this? Like, Jeff, do you personally feel like U.S. is much more boring? The life?
I think it depends on what you like. If you're outdoorsy or you prefer city lifestyle. I say the U.S. is very broad. There's lots of different cities. Of course, the TSMC wives will feel that in Arizona, it's a smaller city compared to the bigger cities near the west coast or the east coast of the U.S. So I think their experience is unique. And plus, I was always curious about why TSMC was set up a fab in Arizona. I thought they need a lot of water to function. They will set up a fab in the desert.
There's a lot of cactus there. It's very tall as you. It can be taller than you. Very tall cactus.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, like, I thought they need water to build semiconductors. No,
Well, all the water are stored in the cactus.
that's enough water.
They probably have to install a pipe from the cactus into the factory to do this water supply.
Okay, I'm not semiconductor fab manufacturing expert, but I bet we have listeners that are working in semiconductor and understand fab because we know a lot of Taiwanese engineers.
Yeah, well, on the back to the original post, one thing about the inconveniences in US is everything you have to repair yourself. But I think that might not be always the case in US. I think the wife said in Taiwan you can just call some service, some plumbing service, and they would just come by. Versus in Arizona's apartment, they have to fix things themselves because they cannot find any plumbers around that area.
I think it's just a language barrier, or they're not familiar with apps. I know there's lots of apps like TaskRabbit. You know, you can call for help.
Oh, that could be because I think it's close to Phoenix. Phoenix is a big city. Should be fixing like
Yes.
all kinds of service should be available. And I also remember that one time I traveled to Phoenix. There's a lot of Asian boba tea shop too. I think like Lao Hu Tang or something. It's there. It's definitely there. Like Tiger Tea. So if you want to live an Asian life, you'd be able to do that.
Yeah, I've been to Phoenix. There's lots of Asian food.
Yeah, but I know that their factory is like for driving. If you want to drive to Phoenix downtown, it's like 15, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, so like half an hour. It's definitely not a very, very short drive. It could take some time, and also the store could close early, maybe close at 8. That could be a little bit too early for Taiwanese people that get used to nightlife.
Yeah, but if you go to other European countries, they close even earlier. Australia, they close at 5.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. So I'd say it's just a different lifestyle. Europeans live that way for a long time too. It's just
Yeah, I remember I have German friends that it's in Australia. They really enjoy Australian supermarkets. They open on Sunday. In Germany, all the supermarkets are closed on Sunday.
It's also good labor rights, right? So I guess that's, yeah, not a U.S. specific thing, but also another thing is we heard recently some Taiwanese workers in TSMC and Arizona fab are hopping or like change their job to Intel, and Intel definitely provide much more like work-life balance. But we also heard people saying that some people might come from Intel back to TSMC just for the like a career reason, because they feel like TSMC still have the cutting edge technology that they want to work with. So as a good experience to advance in that area. But what do you think, Jeff? If you are a semiconductor worker, would you want to work in TSMC to learn the cutting edge technology, or you want to go to Intel to live a better life there?
I personally will pick work-life balance, so I'll go to Intel, but that's just me. Which one would you pick?
Oh, well, it's interesting. It might depend on my age. If I'm younger, I might go into the just work whatever is the most advanced. But when I have a family, I might want to change things. And once maybe if we have a kid that goes to college and or start going to school, that we have more time, then maybe I go back to like more hustle workplace. Yeah, well, that calls the end of this episode. So thanks for everyone's listening.
And remember to watch the U.S. vice presidential debate October 1st. It's just only one debate.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.